let's start with the training. Okay, so we will be studying about the concepts of object-oriented programming today. Fine, and I have made this project day to object-oriented programming. All right. So under the source folder, I'm going to make a new class, a new Java file known as, say, let's say I make a simple class known as mobile phone. Okay, I make a very simple class known as mobile phone. Right. Now, what do you mean by object-oriented programming and what are the basic concepts of it and how we use object-oriented programming inside Selenium that we will be looking at right now. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. I'll increase the font size so that you guys are able to hear clearly. Fine. So now, mobile phone. What are the properties of mobile phone? Right. Say string, the type of mobile phone. Okay, in the price of mobile phone. So this is a single class which has got these two properties, type and price. Alright. So these variables are known as, technically these variables in this class are known as non-static variables. What do you mean by non-static keyword? I will talk about it. Just hold on. Just be with me for some time. Okay. And the second variable is price. Okay, and this is also a non-static variable. Right. Suppose I make a variable static, say int x. Fine. So this variable is known as a static variable. Alright. So some variables are non-static. The variable in front which has got the keyword static is known as the static variable. Fine. What is the difference between static and non-static? Where do you use static? Where do you use non-static? Fine. I'm just going to explain you in another 15 minutes. Alright. For time being, just understand that there are two types of variables, non-static and non-static. Right. I will make a new class, right, and say I will call it client. Fine. In the client class, I have got the main function because I will be executing the client class. The class which has got the main function is actually the class which can be executed. Fine. In mobile phone, right, there is no main function as such. We will not execute this class, we will execute the client class. Alright. Now over here, what I am going to do is that I am going to create the something known as create the object of mobile phone class. Right. Now what do you mean by creating the object? Creating the object means you write over here new mobile phone. When you write this, you are actually creating the object of the mobile phone class. Technically what happens in the memory? In the memory, an object is formed for this mobile phone class, and inside the object both the properties of mobile phone, that is type and price, are present. Hold on. Type and price. Okay, both these properties are present inside the object. Alright, now if I again write over here new mobile phone, okay, if I write mobile phone 2 times, right, what will happen is that two objects will be created in the memory. Each object will have the property type and price. Alright, fine. Now they are just hanging objects inside the memory. They cannot be accessed like that. To access that these objects, you need object references, right? So again I repeat, when you create the object, in the object only the non-static properties of the class mobile phone they will reside. The static properties will not reside inside the object. Okay, and to access these objects you need a reference. Reference means something like this: the mobile phone M1 equal, you write like this: mobile phone M1 is equal to this, mobile phone M2 is equal to this. So M1 and M2, technically they are known as references to these objects, right? So what happens in the memory is that uh, you create two object references. These arrows are known as the references. So M1 points towards this object and M2 points towards this object. Okay, fine. Now what happens is that if I have to access the properties of the object, I can access the properties of the object through M1 and M2, right? So at times people think that M1 and M2 are the objects. No, they are object references, right? If I create a third object reference over here, mobile phone M3, and I equate it to null, that means M3 is not pointing towards any object of mobile phone. Alright, so object reference points towards the object. Okay, and with object reference you can change the properties of the object. I can write M1 dot. When I write M1 dot, automatically Eclipse will give you price and type properties. So if I write M1 dot price is say 100 and M1 dot type is, I can equate it to Samsung, right? M2 dot price is 200, M2 dot type is iPhone. Okay, so M1 and M2 are two mobile phone objects. Alright, M1 is of the type Samsung, M2 is of the type iPhone. So class is single class mobile phone. It's got two single variables. But with the help of objects, I am able to initialize each variable multiple times for every object. I hope you are understanding my point. So if I print over here M1 dot type and M2 dot type, fine. And if you run this, it will print Samsung and iPhone. I hope you understood my point, right? So M1 dot type is iPhone and right, it's printing. Sorry, M1 dot type is Samsung and M2 dot type is iPhone. So this is about objects. This thing is known as object creation and accessing the properties within the object. Right. I have not talked about static right now. I will talk about it in some time. I'm just talking about non-static. Non-static is present inside the object. For example, if I write over here a function known as public void call, fine. Call is a function, right? Inside it, I will write system.out.println calling, and I will write over here type. Now this function is known as non-static function. Non-static is the property of the object. So both these objects which I had created over here, right, they will have the call function. Alright. So when I call them over here, if I write over here m1.call and m2.call, when m1 will call the function call, right, it will print calling and type for m1, which is Samsung, and when m2 calls this function, it will print calling and it will print iPhone. Okay, so when you run this, it prints calling Samsung and calling iPhone. If you run this, it prints these two things. Right, so it depends on which object is calling the function. That function also uses the properties of that particular object. Right, is there any question or any doubt regarding this? Everything is clear, right? I hope you are able to understand. Fine, because people at times they get they are not able to understand this. I hope you are able to understand this. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Right, now, or if you want me to repeat, I can repeat as well. Okay, fine. Now M1 and M2 are two object references which are pointing towards the object. Right. Now if I write over here in the next line M2 equals to M1, what does this mean? M2 equals to M1. This means that M2 will now no longer point here, it will point towards the location where M1 was pointing. So M1 and M2 will both point towards the same object. One object can have more than one object references. Objects will remain there in the memory. They remain fixed inside the memory. The references M1, M2, M3, whatever other references, they can change. Okay, right? So if I print the same thing right now, I just print a star. Fine. If I print both m1.type and m2.type, and if you run this, it both will print Samsung because both of them M1 and M2 are pointing towards this. Okay. Now if I write m2.type is Nokia, and if I again print this, what will these two print? Any idea? What will these two will be printing? Hello? Nokia, Samsung. Alright. Look, when one object reference changes the value, okay, M2 has just hold on guys. Guys, I request you to keep your microphones on mute. Please keep your microphones on mute. Okay. So over here M2 dot type is Nokia. Now where was M2 pointing? M2 was pointing towards this. It has modified this type variable. So M1 also will get the latest modified value and M2 will also get the latest modified value. So both of them will print Nokia over here. When you run this, it will print Nokia. Because M2 has updated the type value for the object. So object references, they will get the latest value out. Right? So I hope you are able to understand this much, that you create the object of the class mobile phone, you initialize the properties of that object, you call the functions on that object, right? And that's how you work with it. Okay. Now in Selenium, when you work with Selenium, just hold on. Yeah. In Selenium, when you work, uh, you really don't need to create classes like mobile phone. Everything is inbuilt, right? No, M2 equals to M1 and M1 equals to M2 is different. This line means that make M2 point where M1 is pointing, and this line means make M1 point where M2 is pointing. Okay, both of them are different. Alright, fine. So look guys, I'm seriously telling you, if you feel that you are not a guy who has ever done programming knowledge, programming in entire career, you never knew what functions are, what strings are, what loops are. Okay, as I told yesterday, you can actually not go for the online training immediately, right? You can get the access to the videos, learn from the pre-recorded videos, get some background, and you can then join the later class, next class by paying the difference amount. Okay, this way you come to the class with a certain background, right? Now, anyways, that's not a problem. Fine. What I will do is in the source folder, fine, I will make a new class known as Selenium Basic, and we'll see how these objects are used inside Selenium. Right, whatever I taught you right now, that you can create the object of mobile phone class and access the non-static properties in the objects. Right, each set of objects will have will have its own set of properties. Right. So in Selenium, what happens is that everything is inbuilt. You just need to create the objects of the classes which are actually inbuilt. Fine. For example, yesterday in Java also I have written system.out.println new date. Right. And hold on. You have to import java.util.h. Right. I had written this new. What I had actually done, I had created the object of the date class, which is an internal class. Internal class. And when I executed it, just by creating the object, it's printing the current date, time zone, everything. Okay. Right. Similarly, in Selenium as well, you just need to create the objects of the inbuilt classes. Right. For example, if I just hold on, I'll close everything. Okay. Hold on. Right. Now, suppose I go to the official Selenium website, seleniumhq.org. Right. And I click on the download link over here. Fine. So this is the Java documentation which I talked about yesterday. Okay. I can go to this Java documentation. And over here in this Java documentation, these are all the inbuilt classes inside Selenium. Look, nobody knows about all these classes. Okay, nobody knows about all these classes, right? You have to actually use them as per your need. Okay, you don't think that you have to learn all these classes by heart. Yes, some of them you should know. For example, there is a class known as Firefox Driver, right? Uh, this is actually the class which, as the name suggests, this class helps you to run your scripts on Firefox. Okay, so just hold on, guys. Right, this class actually helps you to run your scripts on Firefox. Right, now all you need to do is that you need to create the object of this class. You need to write over here new Firefox driver. That's it. Now there are a few things. Firstly, make sure that you are actually not working on the latest Firefox version. Fine. The latest Firefox version gives you a problem. And you go to your help about Firefox menu, it's 5.0 for me. Oh my god, I installed a very old version, right? And also make sure you turn off the automatic updates. In your Firefox, under advanced, tools options, advanced update, please turn off the automatic updates. Ask me what I want to. In Firefox 22-23, there are such separate options. Fine. You can use Firefox 25, but don't use Firefox 29, 30. The latest versions they can give issue. All right. So now when you run this program, now for running this program, I've just created the object of Firefox driver. It's showing me an error. I can resolve this. First of all, I will have to add the jar files of Selenium. Fine. In the yesterday I told you, right, how you can access the jar files of Selenium. So you can go to the properties, Java build path, libraries, and you can add the jar files of Selenium over here. Hold on. Add the jar files. Fine. Now after that, move your mouse over Firefox driver. It will tell you to import Firefox driver. Okay, there'll be an option. Click on this. Firefox driver will be imported somewhere from the reference library, somewhere from the jar files which you have just added. Fine. And when you run this program, oh, hold on. When you run this program, it will actually, it's saying that it won't be loaded and it actually loaded Firefox. It actually loads Firefox over here. Fine. So the Firefox browser it launches whenever you create the object of Firefox driver over here. So I'll again run this. Somehow my system is saying it cannot. It launches Firefox. Actually, I'm sitting on an absolutely new system. There are probably some settings which I need to do. Right. So when I say new Firefox driver, I'm creating the object of this class. Right. Now, if I want to handle this Firefox, I want to go to a particular website or something. You need a reference. You need a reference. Firefox driver reference equals to this. Right, like this. So with this reference, I can access the properties of this driver. I can write a reference dot get. I am very doubtful that it will go over there. Just hold on. When you run this, it launches Firefox. Yeah, it's actually navigating. It's actually navigating to yahoo.com. Right. So you see that it's that simple. You just need to Launcher update for Firefox. Actually, what I will do is I will just give me 2 minutes. I'll install the Firefox 22, which is there on my system. Please turn off the automatic updates in Firefox, because what happens is that Selenium says it's working fine on your Firefox 25, 26, and with the help of automatic updates, it updates itself to the latest version, and later on it creates a problem because Selenium sometimes gives a. I'll manually read it. Okay, fine. Leave it. Right. Later on, Selenium gives a problem. Fine. Now, when you create the object of Firefox driver and you write the function, you write reference dot, you see there are so many functions available inside Firefox driver. You can do so many things with the Firefox browser. We will talk about them. Just be with me. Fine. One of the functions is get. Now, when you call the get function, please note that you mention the protocol. Sometimes people just write yahoo.com and this gives an error. This is not QTP. In QTP, you can omit the protocol, but in Selenium, make sure that you have written the protocol. Okay. Yes, Selenium has got classes for all the browsers. Similar to Firefox driver, there is a class known as Chrome driver. You create the object of that class and you will be able to work with Chrome. Okay, but when you write chrome.get http yahoo.com, hold on guys, and when you run this, must be restarted to continue. No. Okay, hold on, I will comment these two lines. For Firefox, it's saying that you need to restart your PC. I don't want to restart it as of now. Alright, so let me run this again. And for Chrome, almost all of you will get this error. That is, the path to driver executable must be set by the WebDriver.Chrome.Driver system property. Okay. Now you cannot just directly work with Chrome driver, right? Chrome driver is needs third party, you can say installation. Hold on. You just go to the website seleniumhq.org, fine, and yeah, go to the download link under seleniumhq.org. For Chrome, if you scroll down, third-party browser drivers not developed by Selenium HQ, you will see a driver for Chrome, browser Chrome, and hold on, you click on this, click on the download link over here. Just be with me, you will understand. Click on this link and right. Get the latest one. I hope everybody will have the latest Chrome. Click on 2.9 and download it for your operating system. Right, for Windows you download 32-bit one. 32-bit one also works on 64-bit one. Okay, so you download this zip file and put it somewhere in your PC. Fine, I'll put it in my C drive, extract it. Okay, and hold on. Right, so I have extracted this into a folder, this folder. If you open this folder, in this you will find chromedriver.exe file. Okay, it's an exe file. Just hold on guys, I will just view folder options. Hold on. hide extensions. Yeah, it's an exe file, right? Don't run this file. You don't need to do anything. Just copy the path of this exe file and go to your Eclipse and write the line system dot set property. You set the property WebDriver dot. You see that in error it had shown the property. If you look at the error which had come up, it would have shown the property. Hold on, I'll again run this. Yeah, it is showing the thing that is this property WebDriver.Chrome.driver. This is the system property which you need to set WebDriver.Chrome.driver, and you need to give the path of the exe file which you just downloaded. That is, the exe file is having this path. In Java, you need to give double slash. Fine. So you need to set the system property in the system.set property. You need to do that. System is an internal class. Okay, I'll just talk about system.set property in some time. And when you run this program, you will see Chrome will launch and it's actually going to Yahoo. Right? Okay. So when you close this, right, it will actually go to it's gone to Yahoo. Find the system dot set property WebDriver.Chrome.driver and you give the path to the exe file. Fine. Okay. Now coming back to mobile phone, I created a variable static int. No, you need to add it right before creating the object. Okay, you need to add it right before object. Siddharth, just send me the error in the email. I need to look at the complete error and also your code. Okay. Now I had written static int x. Okay. Now what is static? Static is something which is not the property of the object. Right. Static is something which will reside in the memory somewhere outside the object. So x will actually reside over here. It's something which is common for all the objects. Okay. Static is not the part of the object. Static properties you can directly access. You can write over here, say mobile phone dot x equals to 400. Fine. Yeah, Dinesh. I will talk about this in 2 minutes. I'm going to tell you. Okay. So when you write mobile phone dot, you can call the static property of the class mobile phone dot x. Right. Say mobile phone has a property static int number of SIM cards. Right. Every mobile phone has got one SIM card. Right. So what we do, we define in the beginning that mobile phones dot number of SIM cards equals to 1. So all the mobile phones will have just one SIM card. Similarly, if there is a function inside this class, say public static void say x, y, z, any function which is static in nature. So this function can be called directly by writing mobile phone dot xyz. Fine. Static things inside the class, they can be called directly. Similarly, if you write over here, you created the object of Firefox driver. Fine. If you write over here Firefox driver dot, you will see a lot of static properties. We will discuss them. Right. Just hold on. Okay. But these are the static properties inside Firefox driver class. Similarly, system.set property. What is system? System is again an inbuilt class. Okay, and set property is actually a static function inside it. So system.set property I'm calling system class, and inside it I'm calling the set property function, which is static in nature, and I'm setting this property. Okay, right? You understood, right? What this is, Dinesh? System.set property. It's an internal class. It's a Java class. It's an internal class, and set property is the function inside it. Fine. Okay. Right. Now it's set property is a static function. No, not all built-in functions are static in nature. Some of them are. Siddharth, actually, there are 2 points. The question is being asked is what is the practical usage of static and non-static? When do we use it? How do we decide? Look, the properties of a class, as I told you in mobile phone, the property which you think will be common for all the objects will be static in nature. Okay. The properties of the class which vary from object to object will be non-static. Fine. Now the good part or the bad part is that you really will never feel the need of making any static or non-static property. Everything is inbuilt. Whatever had to be static, whatever had to be non-static, everything is inbuilt inside Selenium. You need to use the existing features. Okay? Right? Yeah, I'll just talk about it. Now the main function, public static void main. Now why is the main function static? When you execute your program, the control comes inside the main function, and main function is static. The reason is because when internally JVM, or in the Linux language internally Java calls the main function, it will not have to create the object of this class to call the main function. Internally Java will just call like this, Selenium basics for main, something like this. That's it. Are you understanding my point? Why main function is static? Because internally when Java calls the main function, it will not have to create the object of this class to call the main function. It will just call it like class name dot main. Okay, right? So these are small things, but quite you can say they are having concepts. All right, fine. So yes, we have. Do we have any other classes? No, there is nothing like that. Okay, at the beginner level, I would suggest you not to get confused. Okay, just understand that main function inside the class is the one which is getting executed when you run the program, and it is called in the very beginning. Okay, right. Now Firefox, for every browser we have a class: Firefox driver, Chrome driver, Internet Explorer driver, Safari driver. Hold on, I'll show you in the documentation for Selenium. Hold on. So there are various drivers present. Just 1 minute. Yeah. So these are the driver classes. Chrome driver is used for Chrome. Event firing WebDriver was used to fire native events, basically like moving mouse and all that stuff. But right now, some other concept has replaced this driver. We will talk about that. Right? Firefox driver I just talked about. It is something which helps you to run on Firefox. HTML unit driver, I'll talk about it. Fine. HTML unit driver is something which helps you to run your code without opening a browser. Okay. Then there is Internet Explorer driver. As the name suggests, it works on internet. Then there is a remote web driver. Remote web driver is used to run your scripts on grid. Okay. I told you, right, grid is something which can help you to run scripts parallelly. There is a central node and there are sub nodes to it. Fine. And on the sub nodes you can execute the scripts parallelly. Fine. And then there is Safari driver, which obviously means that you can execute your scripts in Safari with this. Now Safari driver is still unstable. Okay. There are many things which I have seen, maybe I am wrong, but I have tested it out practically. Many things which are not working on Safari driver. Okay. So these are the drivers. Now the question which arises is whether you will have to learn each and every driver separately. Right. When I'm creating the object of Firefox driver over here, and when I'm creating object of Chrome driver, the list of functions in Firefox driver and the list of functions in Chrome driver, right? Will I have to learn them separately? Okay. Look, officially Selenium is not supported in Opera. WebDriver never supports Opera officially. Alright. Opera driver is a separate driver which is given by Opera company itself. You have to use that, but again it's a headache to use that one. Alright. So you don't really need to learn about every class separately over here. Fine. There is a concept known as interface. Like for example, this written on the top, interface WebDriver. There is a concept of interfaces in Java language, right, which can actually help you to understand the functionality of each and every class. Fine. The next topic which we will be studying is the concept of interfaces. Okay. I will actually not start off with that because I at least need half an hour for covering the concept of interface. Fine. So anybody with any questions? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask right now.